82. Today I'll be reading Prisoner B-3087, Chapter 26. Gross Rosen Concentration Camp, 1945. Chapter 26, and Chapter 26 begins on page 212. Chapter 26. They took us by train. They packed us in again so tightly we could do nothing but stand and gave us no food or water for the trip. People died all around me, just like before, but now I hardly took notice of it. I had been surrounded by death for so long, seen so many men die before my eyes, lived with so many dead bodies piled and stacked and strewn about like so much human firewood, that I almost couldn't care any more. Almost, I closed my eyes on the train, trying not to see the death all around me. But I knew it was there. Sleep was my only refuge from the horror, the thirst, and the starvation. So I retreated there, dozing on and off again, as the train shuddered and creaked on its way to a new camp. I had long since stopped hoping that each new camp would be better. Each was no better or worse than the last. They were all different rooms in purgatory, each different but each the same. And the Nazis made it all the more nonsensical by shuttling us around from one to another, as though it made any difference. Planes flew over the train so low just their passing shook the cars, and we heard the patters of bullets. A bomb exploded so near the tracks that we could feel the heat from it. The train stopped, and suddenly I had a vision of a bomb falling right on us, killing us all, and for a moment I wanted it to happen, the way Fred had so long ago. Anything that would get me out of this nightmare. But the planes went away, and the bombs stopped falling, and the train started to move again. I couldn't have told you if I was more disappointed or relieved. When the doors to the train car finally opened at Gross Rosen, our new concentration camp, bodies fell out. We left even more bodies in the car. Those of us who had survived the trip, who had survived camp after camp after camp, shuffled into Gross Rosen. Without fear or expectation, nothing the Nazis could do could surprise any of us now. They gave our new barrack assignments and put us right to bed. I sank into a deep stupor. First thing the next morning, we were put to work right away, with no more time to recover from our torturous train ride like at Bergen-Belsen. On the train, I had wanted a bomb to fall on us to put me out of my misery, but now that I was back in camp, it was the awful business as usual. My old instincts to survive kicked in again. If it was a game, then I had my own part to play. The Nazis would try to kill me, slowly, randomly, teasingly, and would resist. I would work. I would resist. I would work. I would survive. If the Nazis were willing to play their game, so was I. The Nazis had needed more workers at Gross Rosen for the war effort. They still believed they could beat the Allies, even though we'd heard about that the Russians had taken Warsaw and that Dresden was in flames. Any day now, prisoners whispered among one another. The Allies will be in Berlin and we will be set free, but not today. Today we built our barracks. As I worked, I told myself there would be another world after this one. A bright, shining, beautiful future, where I didn't wear blue and gray stripes, where I ate 3 full meals a day, where I wouldn't work until I passed out, where I could have friends again, where I could have a family again, where I could laugh again. That world existed, I knew. I couldn't reach it now, not yet, but soon. If I survived, so I worked. Not so hard I would die, not so little I would be punished, as Mercy had told me so long ago. I put my head down and worked day and night, worked to live. You there, Capo said to me one day. He stopped me with the end of his club, poked into my chest. I raised my eyes to him the first time I looked up in days, maybe weeks. Where is your button? He asked me. I blinked. I had no idea what he was talking about. Dully, I looked down at the ragged, dirty shirt I wore. The top button was missing. I hadn't even noticed. I don't know, I said. My voice surprised me. It was nothing more than a croak. I hadn't spoken a word to anyone for days. I licked my lips and tried again. I must have lost it. You know what the penalty is for losing a button, don't you? The capo said. 20 lashes. 20 lashes. I was going to be flogged for the crime of losing a button. I closed my eyes. I was too tired to cry and too exhausted to even feel angry. At roll call, I was pulled out of the line and marched to a wooden horse, a polished, barkless log with 4 wooden feet, and laid over it with my bare back facing up. Keep count, the Nazi with the whip told me. Crack. My back erupted in pain as the first slash hit me. I jerked on the log, almost falling off, but I grabbed on tighter. If I fell off, it would be worse for me. 1, I said in Polish. In German, the soldier said. We'll start again. Crack. I closed my eyes to the pain. How would I ever survive 20 lashes when 2 hurt worse than anything I'd ever felt? Eins, I said. Crack. Zwei. Crack. Drei. Crack. Vier. Crack. Fünf. Crack. Sechs. Crack. Sieben. Crack. Acht. Cracked. Neun. Crack. Zehn. Crack. Eisbein. The Nazi soldier tutted. No, no, no. It is elf. Did they teach you nothing in your Jewish schools before the war? I will teach you. We'll begin again. I remember very little after my lashes were finished. I couldn't even tell you how many I eventually had. Many more than 20, that was certain. When they were finished with me, I was dragged back to the barracks and dumped onto one of the shelves, where I passed out. That night I had a dream. I was in a beautiful green meadow. Yellow wildflowers grew here and there, so tall they swayed in the light summer's breeze. In the distance a brook burbled happily along, and a great tree beyond it spread its branches wide. I sat in grass and listened to a cricket chirp nearby, totally at peace. But then a dark cloud appeared in the horizon. Lightning flashed and thunder rolled over the hills. No, I said, not wanting my perfect afternoon disturbed, but the storm kept coming. Lightning split the air beneath me, and crackoom, the thunder knocked me down. The earth shook beneath me. The ground cracked and opened. I tried to grasp something to stop my fall, but my hands clutched only air. I fell into a deep black abyss lined with tree roots and rocks. They struck me as I fell. Crack, 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 crack. I counted them, in German as I fell. Eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf. Thum. Something exploded near the barracks, shaking me out of my dream. I raised myself up on my elbows. I had to sleep on my stomach, because my back was too raw with pain. There were prisoners packed in all around me. Roll call had long since ended, and it was the middle of the night. Thum! The barrack rumbled again as another bomb fell close to the camp. Everyone was awake now, every prisoner, and we watched the roof and waited without a word, waited to see if one of the bombs would fall on us and kill us all. But no, the bombs fell all through the night, and as soon as we went back to sleep, raining death was no reason not to sleep. Not when there was work to be done tomorrow. As I laid back down on my stomach, my bloody back still screaming in agony, I remembered my dream. I told myself I would not fall down that hole. I would climb out again. The Allies were getting closer, and I was going to be there to welcome them when they got here. If you want to hear Chapter 27, look for my next video.